recognize this, you are just as old as I am, because this is nostalgia fuel. This is a Game Boy SP split screen. We've got our Game Boy Advance cartridge in there, which can also play Game Boy games, and it's got the screen with our buttons and everything. Closes in clamshell, and it's got that iconic noise that we all know. But it's not made out of Lego, so that's what I wanted to do. So you can see this now, but look what it turns into. This. A Game Boy SP in red that is all made out of Lego. And what's the fun part is, it's got all the similar features. We've got a split screen. We've got our buttons. We've got our Game Boy Advance cartridge to it. And it is actually the same size, 1-to-1 scale, of the Game Boy SP. I had a great time building this. It was very complicated to get it at this scale and have the clamshell piece that works out well. Our screen here, the buttons we'll talk about more, but overall, it's just really fun. And if you love Game Boy and Nintendo, you're probably going to like this build a lot. So let's get into some of the design features and really talk about it.
Now here's a brief breakdown of the overall build. We have the Game Boy SP, a display stand, and the cartridge. Now we're going to dive into a little bit of the build and some history behind the Game Boy. The Game Boy Advance SP, a handheld that redefined portable gaming in the early 2000s. It was released on February 14th in 2003. The SP, which stands for Special, not Split Screen, as most people would think, like I did, because I definitely messed that up, took the gaming world by storm, becoming one of the most iconic handheld consoles at the time. It was the third model in the Game Boy line and a major evolution from the original Game Boy Advance, which had a clamshell design, and the SP was Nintendo's first handheld with a foldable form, protecting its screen and fitting more easily in your pocket. It also introduced a backlit screen, making it possible to play in low light conditions, and a major upgrade that every child and gamer celebrated after years of struggling with external lights. Powered up with a rechargeable battery instead of AA batteries, the SP gave gamers up to 10 hours of continuous play, marking a huge step forward for the handheld game technology. From classic titles like Pokemon, which I have in there, the Pokemon Ruby, to The Legend of Zelda, the Game Boy Advance SP supported nearly all Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, making it one of the most versatile handhelds ever made. Over the years, it sold over 43 million units worldwide and continued to hold a special place in the hearts of retro gamers. So whether you remember it from the early 2000s or picked up one at a retro collector, the Game Boy Advance SP remains a legend from the history of portable gaming. And here it is in its final form, the LEGO Game Boy Advance SP. In the comparison, you can see it's got all the details. It has all the iconic buttons on the front, the clamshell design, and a stand so that it can be displayed. The A and B buttons actually are a little bit bigger than 1x1 tiles, so you can see that difference. And I didn't go with the gray screen, as when you turn it on, it does have the black design. Maybe I'll put stickers on and maybe not. The cartridge itself is a little bit smaller in height, and it's a little bit different because, well, you can't fit it in a slot just like it is in the Game Boy, because there's not pieces that are small enough to do that just yet. So overall, it is one of my favorite designs that I've ever done, and it is just the iconic nostalgia of a kid and his Game Boy.
And that is your nostalgia fuel for the day. That is a Game Boy SP. I will be making some others, some of my other classic ones that I've loved throughout my time as a Game Boy and Nintendo fan. And the best part about this is you can actually buy it on my Rebrickable page and build it yourself. Not too expensive, and the parts are not that expensive, so then you can have your own Game Boy SP. Make sure to subscribe and like this video so you can see more of my content. Thanks everyone, catch you later. So let's get into some of the